Hi there. So I'd love to introduce you to our 2026 product range and a bit more information about what we've got coming up this year. We've got our 4 different size mover, the micro, the mini, the original heat pump mover, and the maxi at the bottom. We've got our Lite Work Designs lifters. We've got the stay, we've got the rest, and we've got a new concept for the Lite Work Designs frame. Also at the back here, there's a slight adjustment to the heat pump mover, and we're going to call this the 110 heat pump mover, and I'll go through more detail with that shortly. So to start off, we've got the micro mover. This has got an internal measurement of 320, ideal for RSJs. I've used it for doors and windows, unboxed PV batteries. One of our big improvements was the tires. These can now go to 400 kilos, so they're 200 kilos each per tire. So this one is the mini mover. We've got a 470 mil internal width. This is mainly used for aircon units, for smaller heat pumps, and also boxed PV batteries, or anything that's within 470 mil. The reason why we've decided to keep the tires the same is because one of the important measurements for installers was to be able to go through internal doors. So now we move on to the original, the heat pump mover. We've had some feedback from installers that some pumps were exactly 600 millimeters wide. So what we've decided to do is make the internal 620 mil now. Again, we've got the 200 kilos for each tire. This one sells itself. Then we've got the big boy at the bottom. We call this one the maxi mover. With an internal bed of 820 millimeters wide, we had some feedback from the oil industry to help them move oil tanks. Also, we have moved small commercial AC units. So anything up to 800 millimeters wide, this is perfect. Again, we've got the chunky tires, so they can take 200 kilos each. Total load is 400 kilos. Now we move on to the heat pump lifter. All of the instructions clearly are printed on the front. And what do we use this for? We use this for increasing the height of a heat pump to be able to either install the heat pump mover or remove it and fit the rubber feet at the bottom. Also, when we are loading onto the stay, we can just ever so slightly increase the height of the box to be able to get the stay underneath, so we safely never lift the full weight of the product. One of the key features about the lifter is how fast and slow that we can adjust the height. There's 2 buttons here. If we move it down slowly, it only decreases by an increment of 1 millimeter, or we can push the fast button for a faster speed. So now we come to the Lite Work Designs stay. This is an accessory for any of the sizes of mover, and one that I'm particularly excited about because I use this on site quite a lot. The purpose of the stay is when we were moving integrated units, cylinders, anything that's tall and bulky, when we would strap it to the bottom of the mover, going up a step, because the strap is attached to the actual mover itself, sometimes the product would slip. So the idea came from, if we had a lip underneath the actual product that we were moving, it would act as a bit of a sack barrier. So with the strap attached, we can just use the lifters to gently lift the product, slide this underneath, and then you move it and tilt it down, and you can move it where you want to go without the product actually sliding or moving. So now onto the Lite Work Designs rest. Some of the feedback from our European market was that they install heat pumps a lot onto frames, onto metal frames, onto wall brackets. And one of our concerns was to keep the heat pump level during transport, that we needed to supply a foot. So we've decided to move forward and start production run for the Lite Work Designs rest. This will come in the future, in the near future, this will come as standard in the heat pump mover box. So even in the UK, if you were going to fit it onto a wall bracket, then this will come in the box, so you can safely move the product without damaging the front of the unit. What comes in the box? As it arrives at your front door, depending on what size that you've purchased, you will get a mover. Also in the box, we get the quick start guide. Please read this because it's very important to make sure that the product gets used the way that we've designed it. And you get your little bag of goodies. In here, we have the ratchet strap. Now, please be aware, these do come with 2 strap clips on the side. So after you've wrapped the strap over and you've ratcheted it up, just make sure that you clip the strap so it's nice and secure, so it's not dragging on the floor as you're using the product. It's a bit of a trip hazard. We've got the pull strap, which goes through the handle underneath the unit, and we do supply 2 handles. Now, some of the heat pumps are more than 200 kilos, so to make sure we comply to health and safety, it may need 2 installers to lift it. The carabiner goes onto the handles, and we've got 2 Allen keys just to ensure monthly maintenance, just to check all the nuts and bolts are nice and tight. And one of the final products is the Lite Work Designs frame. We fully tested this now, we're over the moon with the results, and now we've gone into a production run. The basic concept of the product is to be able to lift the heat pump, put the frame underneath, then we can remove the packaging and the pallet. This makes it significantly easier to mount the rubber foot and mount the heat pump mover without ever lifting the full weight of the product. Very, very excited for this one. And at the back here, we've got the heat pump mover 110. Now, the reason why it's called 110 is because some manufacturers' feet that sits in the mover are wider than the 80 millimeters that we've got on the original. So this just allows for up to 110 millimeters. It allows for a wider foot to be placed in there before you move it. And to finish off, we've got the Lite Work Designs ramp. These are used if ever you need to get a product down some garden steps, over a small bump, a small ravine. They extend out to 2.4 meters and the maximum load weight is 200 kilos. Good handy bit of kit. So thank you for watching. This is our 2026 product catalogue. If you've got any questions, please feel free to let us know.